Good evening and welcome to All Four Wins Football. We are back once again. It's Monday night. It's the usual Monday night panel show. We've got plenty to talk about because your FA Cup finalists have been decided. We've got them sorted. We know they're going to be. On top of that, the Welsh League's finished. Serie A is almost over. We are reaching the conclusion of so many places all across the world. We are All Four Wins Football and we're going to get into it right after this. Okay, well, hello, everybody. Lovely to see you all with us again this evening. Plenty, as I said, to talk about. You will have to forgive me. I will definitely practice working out what's going on with lighting and my brand new corner. It's not working as well as I would have liked it to. It's not my desire to make it look like I'm in some sort of bloody horror movie, but that seems to be where we're going. So we'll see what we can do. Anyway, whilst I'm trying to sort myself out, let's have a chat with two people who don't need lighting to make them look good because they're just that good. Freya and Sean, how are the pair of you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I've gone for the backlit this evening rather than the front, so it's a bit more flattering.
I'm good. I have no option for front or back lighting. I feel like a bit of an amateur now, but I've only got above lighting, so this is it. But no, all good, all good.
Yeah, you see, I have the above lighting. If I do that, that's the above lighting. So that's how bad it could be.
Just a reflection on your glasses. That's it.
I need it as well. So there you go. Who knows? Maybe you preferred it the other way. Let me know. It'll be like one of those interviews where the person wants their identity kept secret. Which would be just like that. That wouldn't really work because my name's there. So there we go. That's a brilliant tangent to go running off on. But boys and girls, Wembley is sorted. May the 18th, we are going to have another FA Cup final. And that final is going to be between two teams who are no strangers at the moment to FA Cup finals. So, listen, I suppose we'll kick off with the first game that we saw, which was Chelsea against Liverpool. And do you know what? I was really, really impressed with how Liverpool applied themselves in that game. They came so close. And I mean, the opening goal from Olivia Smith was sublime, absolutely brilliant. But Chelsea just doing what Chelsea do. They just seem imperious at the moment, really. I don't want to say unbeatable because City have already proven that they can be beaten, but certainly looking imperious. So, Sean, we'll throw over to you first, since they were in blue. What was your thoughts on the Chelsea-Liverpool game? Because I genuinely did think it was going to end up going into extra time, the rate the game was going at. But like I say, just they seem to find a way no matter what's going on.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of work commitments with Cardiff City, I was only able to watch the last 10 minutes of this game. So I saw the result. I saw Liverpool go ahead. I thought, fantastic. See Chelsea get an equaliser. And then I got the feeling, even just for 10 minutes, I was like, it's coming. You know something's going to happen. Something's going to yield. And it's Aggie Beaver-Jones this time with it. But yeah, I was gutted for Liverpool. I'll be honest, my dream final, I've got no horse left in this FA Cup race, but my dream final would have been Liverpool-Man United. I think the atmosphere at Wembley, everything about it would have been an amazing final. But no, of course, as Sip always says, the mentality monsters. They are mentality monsters. This is it. This is just, when you are part of something, and it's something so ingrained in you, like winning, like Sonia Bonpastor has done at a time in Lyon and beyond, it's so difficult to shake out of it. You always know you're going to be in it. Even if you're 2-0 down like they were against City, they'll just find a way, they'll keep going, and they do win. And it's yeah, you can't deny them. Like, fair play, they have done it, but gutted for Liverpool. But Olivia Smith, I think, signing of the season, we saying that? I think she could well be, but yeah, gutted for Liverpool, but this is just what Chelsea do.
Okay, really is what Chelsea do, and I don't know when you're not a Chelsea fan and you see it happening, it's impossible not to admire the level of just bloody mindedness that they seem to have, just a refusal to be beaten. They're like one of those sort of really old people that probably should have retired from a boxing match that keep on just pulling themselves up off the floor. But I mean, maybe Tyson Fury, even the one where he got himself virtually knocked out. He stood up on 9 seconds, not really knowing where he is, but still goes on to win the match. Like, it's unbelievable, Freya, how often they just seem able to do exactly what's required in order to get them through to the next stage.
Well, that's the thing. They've got the squad, haven't they? The people they've got that haven't just signed them because they had kind of one good game or they had a little bit of potential. They've signed all of these players that have got the same qualities, which push each other to then get to that next level. And I think when Sonia Bonpastor came in, it was, how is she going to continue what Emma Hayes had started? Because I don't know if anyone saw it this week. Emma Hayes was mic'd up on the side of one of her last games, and you just, I miss her. I miss her so much, just her personality, that strength on the sidelines. And you just think the team could have collapsed this season, couldn't they? But they haven't. They've gone from strength to strength. And, that's the aim now for United in the final, to, be the ones to finally put up a fight and really go for it. And, I'm gutted for Liverpool because taking the lead against Chelsea, that's got to be such a fantastic feeling. So to equalise, it was stoppage time, wasn't it? First half. And you just think, okay, there's another half to go. Can they do it? And for it to almost go to extra time, Aggie Beaver-Jones getting that late strike in, it was so close. So it can be done. It's not like they went rampant, 6-7-0. They are showing that they're more human than ever this season, I think. So yeah, it'll just be a test of if and when it can be done.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sean, Chelsea have only lost to Manchester City this season, and even then, that was only a first leg. They, of course, swung it around, just popped in 3 in the next leg, and put themselves through to the semi-finals. But I mean, obviously, United fan here, we can beat unbeatable, unstoppable, amazing Chelsea, but equally, as she puts it, sometimes winning with own goals, failing to beat Leicester and Brighton, and losing to City isn't always finding a way. Yet, as Shane says, and I think I quite agree with this, the essence of sporting victory is doing the thing that's required when it's required. And yes, own goals aren't you putting the ball in the back of the net, but you've had to put the ball into a position where that person's had to do something with it. They've had to deal with that ball. It was obviously good enough for them to not just leave it alone and let the goalkeeper catch it or do that sort of thing. So it's just, they are just, I don't want to call them inevitable, but they're just insistent, aren't they? It's like, I don't know, like tinnitus. It's just, it's always there and just won't stop.
Yeah, and so the United fans saying you can beat unbeatable, unstoppable, amazing Chelsea. All I'll say is it's the hope that kills you. Because I do think United can do it. If you look at this Chelsea team, there's nothing like, oh, they're good. Or, oh, I tell you what, they're in red hot form. It's going to be really tricky to stop them. Because you look at them and think, yeah, we could do something like that. But then you put it into reality, it's like, oh, we can't stop them at all. But I do think Chelsea will get found out against Barcelona. I've not been impressed by Chelsea. I think they are due a bad performance, due not a hammering, but a real lesson. And I think Barcelona can provide that lesson to them. But when it comes to English football, WSL, FA Cup, there is, like you said, an inevitability about Chelsea. And the one thing that scares me a little is that when you think about the FA Cup final, when you think about this run in the Champions League, just Sam Kerr's there in the background, and she's going to come back anytime soon. Same with Germa, she's going to come back in. And it's just like, then the inevitability, and then you get those two back, 2 world-class players back. It's just like, oh, they're going to do it, aren't they? So I do think they are beatable, but at the same time, you can beat them on the pitch, but I don't think you can beat them mentally. And I think that's where a lot of the battle's going to lie until the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But Freya, I think also, like, when you're looking at these games from the outside and you're not a Chelsea fan, like I say, they've been so successful. When you look at teams that want to be where Chelsea are, winning the WSL, like United winning the FA Cup last year, winning the Subway Sandwich, Continental Tires type cup, whatever it is you're trying to win, you always talk about needing some experience, needing people in there that have been there, done that, that are winners. If you just have a fresh side that doesn't have any experience of that sort of thing, it's very difficult. Is this where the problem is for everybody that's trying to get against Chelsea? Is that actually for the vast majority of the squad, no matter even if they're bringing new people in, they just have such experience of being in these situations, in being in these games, in winning, that actually that's where their major advantage is. They're not scared about going 1-0 down to Liverpool because they know they've got that in the tank to keep pulling it back because they've done it before. They're not worried about second legs because they know they can come back round and win it again. They know that they can win the WSL. They know that they can win all of these trophies. So as a result, that experience, is that what's carrying them over the line against teams like Liverpool, who, with the greatest respect, don't at the moment have that experience of winning the FA Cup? They've been in 3 finals, but never actually won it. Is that really where the sort of the balance gets tipped?
It's hard, isn't it? Because experience can definitely set you up for that, and you know what your team is capable of. And even if you maybe in the younger years, if they've been at Lyon and maybe they haven't got off the bench, but they've been around that winning team. And I think a lot of the squad at Chelsea, have been in those situations where they've been brought in from these other successful clubs, from various youth stages, academies, that kind of thing. So they'll have been around that mentality, and you don't. I think once you've had a taste of it, as cliche as it sounds, you don't want to lose it, do you? So, and I think with kind of Chelsea as a brand and as a club, it's like an aspirational one. So all of these names are getting brought to this club, because they know they're winners, and that's kind of their thing, isn't it? But on the other hand, if you've got, young, fresh, exciting talent who haven't felt that failure yet, they've still got that belief that they can do it. So I think a good mix of both, but yeah, just not being naive enough to think that you can do it without any hardship. So yeah, I think a good mix of youth and experience as is, and that's unfortunately what Chelsea have got. So they keep taking away from everyone else.
Yeah, they really, really do. So after the inevitability of that, the next day comes along, and obviously if you want a full and in-depth and extremely biased view of what happened in that game, you can of course go to the sister channel of United WFC, where we've just spent the last 90 minutes yakking on about that. So we're not going to go too in-depth over here, but it is always interesting to have these thoughts of people that are not Manchester United fans, and that obviously, like yourselves, you have jobs within the game doing proper writing and proper things. So we know you have the ability to cut away any bias, which is what we try and do very much on this channel. So I do have another question for you after this, but the main question I've got for you really is what your thoughts were on the United City game. Were you surprised to see United make it through to the final? Because genuinely they've done I think an exceptionally good job of getting themselves into a position where they were able to get the lead, defended it well, kept City at bay, and apart from a Fallon Tullis-Joyce wonder save, there wasn't really too much else that was given. So Freya, we'll let you start on this one. What did you make of the Manchester derby?
I wish City were at their full strength, so it could have been a proper derby, a proper matchup, really. I think going into it, you saw the camera angles of the subs bench for City, and they hadn't the starting 11 on the injury bench, didn't they? So yeah, I think from the outset, City just didn't look like themselves. So I said to my wife about 10 minutes in, she was like, "Oh, what do you think the score's going to be?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think United are going to do it." There's just a belief there about United at the minute, and the way they're playing, you just think they're going to get it done, which I imagine for a United fan is quite nice. And there has been that quiet consistency there, and City just never really got going. There were some moments, and then of course Mary Fowler, that injury looked quite bad, and you just think City at the minute aren't, when you think of City, that wasn't them, that was their skeleton team, that was them on their bare bones. So I think they'll be quite happy when the season's over, so they can really just fight back. But yeah, it was a fair result. United will be looking forward to that final. But yeah, I didn't think City, unfortunately, really give them a good test already.
I mean, Sean, I should imagine you agree with most of that. But as Uncle Montana's put here, just didn't want another game against Man City, sick of Man City. Do you think that actually, aside from just the match itself, that football, I can't believe I'm about to use this term, but that actually football was the winner because of the fact that we didn't have to witness another game between Manchester City and Chelsea?
I cannot believe you've just used that term. That is, football is the. No offense, any world where Man United winning, football don't win in most cases. I'll be very honest, but my only surprise is that they didn't win by more. I fully expected Man United to come in and to hammer City. Really, the City resemble an infirmary rather than a football team at the moment. It is quite sad how. I mean, you say it's quite sad, but it's also quite stupid how City haven't strengthened in certain areas. How they've not brought in more defenders in some areas is really silly. And then you look at the attacking options, and they're very limited. But then to lose Mary Fowler almost straight away as like your only shining light is like, oh wow, you're really going to have to get through this. And they didn't really, and it is a shame. I would have liked to see a competitive game, but to be honest, yeah, fully expected Man United to win, and I'm a little surprised it was only 2-0 to be honest. But when it comes to United in the cup final, I'm really happy for United supporters to be honest, because at Wembley last year, absolutely amazing support. Absolutely, the pre-match and post-match was incredible, and I'm looking forward to hopefully the same result again for United, because I'd quite like United to beat Chelsea.
Well, there you go. And of course, Wembley Stadium, the first time I got to meet you face to face, Sean. What a wonderful moment that was. So there we go. Michael Burt saying there needs to be legislation passed to prevent teams from playing each other that many times a season. It would have been the 6th time, which is, yeah, I mean, it's quite something, but rare, I would say as well. I can't imagine that happens too often, except for places like Scotland, of course, where, you know, they have the split and then you have to go and play them again. But even then, that's usually only 4 times. So there we go. So my question, interesting, yes. Good point, I suppose. But listen, when you're 2-0 up, do you need to score any more? You don't get any extra points, do you? Still get to the same place. The question that I wanted to ask sort of comes around to what Superway said here, which is United looked miles away from Man City, talking about mentality. There's been a seismic shift in United mentality and belief. And it's something that I put out on the other channel. And I was very intrigued to see what the United fans thought about it. And I'm even more intrigued to hear what 2 sensible fans like yourself might think about it. Because coming into women's football, there was a big 3. And that big 3 was City, Arsenal, Chelsea. And that's been the area that you wanted to get to. They were always going to be the ones that were in Champions League, always finished up with the top 3 spots. It was just who finishes where. Chelsea finished up, where are City and Arsenal going to finish? Which one's going to be second? Which one's going to be third? And I've been kind of thinking about this over the last couple of days, and I've been looking over how City have gone on in the last 2 years and how United have got on over the last 2-3 years as well. And since 2022, when Man City won the League Cup, I think it was, they've not won anything else since then. Now, there was a kind of a top 4 for a while. That was what we were talking about. If you were to go to the traditional top 3 again, my question to you is this. I think Manchester United currently have usurped Manchester City's spot in there. I think that if you were to talk about the big 3 in the WSL at the moment, I feel like you would have to include Manchester United over Man City for a variety of reasons. They changed their manager, obviously. You just mentioned about not buying the squad depth that's required. They're not as imperious. And from a United fan's point of view, I think you're worried about Chelsea. You're nervous, like properly nervous about Arsenal. I feel like you think going into a game against Man City, you don't necessarily feel like the underdogs in those games anymore. And I'm just wondering, like as Sipaway says there, a Chelsea fan, very content to say there's been a massive change. These things are fluid. Obviously, they can change. Next year, Man City might come back and be the monsters. But I think if you were having to pick who your top three over the course of the last 2 or 3 seasons has been, I'm not convinced that Man City are there. I'm not suggesting it's a massive chasm, but I think it's a photo finish that Man United are just winning. Very intrigued to get other people's points of view on that. So, Sean, you weren't very happy, so I'm going to let Freya go first, just because I'm hoping I'll get some support there. We'll see.
I was hoping Sean was going to go first because that reaction was great. Honestly, I think if you're looking at kind of overall, I think City have had more like polarized highs and lows than United have. So I think mentally, I think with all the changes they've gone through, I don't think City are in a great place at the minute anyway, like with injuries, with not winning what they should have. And I think City have always been, I think you're right. There's always been that kind of belief that you maybe could take points off them. You could, whereas I think United have definitely strengthened in their own mentality. I think very much it's the squad that have really pulled together. And I think you can see when they come together for like different causes and support, like you can tell it's like a unit, like a family unit. So I think just having that difference has really pushed them on. Maybe just. But as I said before, they've definitely been a bit more consistent. Whereas City have, they've been on that roller coaster. I'll happily hand over to Sean for his.
Shane has put across what I've said. There is a genuine case here. However, City fans would probably say they've had the League One. Really should have been champions last season in choke versus Arsenal. But United were very close, pushing Chelsea the season before as well. And this is what I'm getting at. 1 trophy each. They won the League Cup, we won the FA Cup. 1 second place finish each. And both sides have finished outside of the Champions League spots once as well, with City finishing 4th and yes, us finishing 5th, because Liverpool managed to jump just above us, which is something that Sean himself might have to get used to with the Brighton situation as well. So just throwing that one in there because I think I know where you're about to go. You really did look at me as if I was going absolutely mad, but I think it's close. Like, I'm not talking about history. I get that City are the bigger team over the course of the entirety, but United have only been around since 2018. And so I think if you're starting to talk about from 2018, well, exactly 1, and all right, City might have had a couple, but I'm talking 2-3 years. I'm not before that 2022 season, because I don't think it's really comparable. United were a very new side to the WSL at that point. But over this season, last season, and the season before, I think there's been a bit of a shift, a bit of a tussle. And I don't think I'm mad for saying what I'm saying. Even if it's a no, it's not far off.
Oh, okay. If you're measuring it on the pitch, solely on the pitch, there might be a debate. I can see that. If you're measuring it on the pitch, fair. But if you're talking about the top 3, it's not just on the pitch. There's so many off the pitch things that make a top 3 the top 3. It's like the big 6 in the Premier League, right? Tottenham and Man United have had terrible seasons, but you still class them as big 6. And that's because off the pitch and whatever, they are still in the upper echelons of the Premier League table. So, is Man United a destination? Is my first question. When Viv Miedema in the summer, when she joined City, do you think she ever contemplated Man United as a destination? I'd say probably not, because they are not at the level of a City, an Arsenal, or a Chelsea. So, have United ever had the best player in the league? Can you say, right, they've had the best player in the league? You can argue maybe, but I'd argue probably not, ever. And then I go into
Can I throw on a
your
bat
European...
here? Probably the best right back in Europe at the time.
Maybe. And then I go into your
Supporting
European
Dominic
rounds.
Janssen.
How's your Champions League group stage looking? Let's look at your European past. There isn't any. And that's a big thing. Like, you can look at Man City. Even Man City have done terribly this season overall. A team like them should be achieving more, but they beat Barcelona. Like, not many teams have beaten Barcelona the past 3 years. So if you're judging it on the pitch, I can understand the argument. But if you're making it, are United in the big three, top three? Absolutely not. There's still so many levels United need to go through in order to even challenge that trio at the top, if you ask me.
I'm intrigued. I'd argue our attendance is regularly better than theirs at the moment. I don't know. I think you've got a few things going on there, but no, I don't think there are that many more levels. You make it sound like there is an absolute gaping chasm. I'm not convinced it's a chasm. I think it's more of a mini stream that could easily be jumped over with the right support and backing. But I don't know. There we go. Fair enough. I think Freya was more on my wavelength than maybe you, but I understand it is hard for you to give kudos to Manchester United unless it's blatantly obvious and required. I do get that. So that's absolutely fair and fine. And of course, you talk about attracting big players. I mean, Liz Turland thought it'd be all right, didn't she? So just throw that one out there. She preferred the Northern Riviera to the Southern, didn't she?
She's had a lucky season. There we are. I'll go petty. She's had a lucky season so far.
She's very lucky, yeah, because she's going to finish in the top 3, not just the top 6, which is woohoo. Anyway, it's a banterous stage. Let's not go through that. We'll save that for our WFC moments. But yeah, there we go. I think, yeah, they did. And absolutely, I do think the European point is a very good point. We haven't got much pedigree in the times that we've spent in the Champions League. We were close, but close doesn't cut it. So, yeah, maybe. But I certainly think the tide is turning. And unless City do something to arrest that decline.
Also, just a very quick point on United, which is why they're not a top 3 club. You let your big stars go on free transfers. Honor, free transfer. Mary Earps, free transfer. Alessia Russo, free transfers. Big clubs do not let big stars go on free transfers.
Let's hope they get some money for Chloe Kelly then, eh? We shall see, because that won't help. But yeah, no, there we go. So fair point. Still, I think the debate is there to be thrown into the pot for sure, and that's a good thing. That only shows the growth of the game, and hopefully we'll get a few more teams that start to challenge that top 3, top 4 status as well. And who knows, maybe we're looking at the likes of Liverpool and Brighton to do that. But we shall see how the rest of this season pans out. I suppose a quick question for you both then, Freya. It's Chelsea, it's United. Who do you see winning it? 3rd final in a row for United. Both teams have won 1 over the last 2 years. Who's going to make it 2 out of 3?
I hope it's a really good game. I hope both really, really fight for it. But I just think it's Chelsea. I really do. I think they're gonna do it.
Sean, do I even need to ask?
I would love for it to be United. I generally would love for it to be United, but I don't think United have beaten Chelsea, have they? Yes.
Apart from the FA Cup semi-final on the way to winning it last year.
That one, yeah.
That
one. Yeah, that's slipped my mind. Yeah, I just don't think United mentally can beat Chelsea, this current Chelsea team anyway. But I'd love for United to win it.
Well, obviously, so would I. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think you're going to see the same sort of Man United Chelsea game that you saw after United won the FA Cup last season and Chelsea just walked in and took over Old Trafford. So yeah, I like you guys. I just hope it's going to be a really enjoyable game that is worthy of a final. So there we go. Sip away thinking Chelsea's going to make it a domestic treble. Don't know if that's her way of saying she doesn't think they're going to win the Champions League. I don't know. Uncle Montana hopes for that. I'm not sure if he's hoping for the domestic treble or well, potentially, yes, that would be fun there. So there we go. And yes, I think they did have some departures, but I'm sure there was some money that would have gone around for those. Can you confirm that, Sean? Weirbrun, Stanway?
Oh, no, I cannot confirm, but I know they sold Kira Walsh for a large fee, for example. So, and the thing is with City, those players left and they got players back. You know, they fulfilled those gaps really well. They filled those gaps well. So, yeah.
No, for sure. All right, well, there we go. So, lots going on. Yes, Walsh was a world record at that time. Indeed, which was quite a sale. Right, we're going to move over now, and we are going to move over not too far away to the Gennaro Adrian Premier League. Now, this may not be a space where you're sitting there going, I know that league, I've heard of it well. And that's because I'm sure Sean will forgive me for saying it's a rather underrepresented league within the news outlets of our time. For example, went to have a look on the BBC website to see what we could find. And whilst they'll give you the table, they don't give you even so much as the previous matches. Now, it's a bit tricky. All United, All Women's Football are here for you, though, because as you will have seen on Twitter, if you follow us, we have been working our little socks off, trying to make sure that all of the leagues that we are trying to cover over the course of the next few seasons have been covered. And so we're just going to have a little chat about the Welsh League, which has only 20 games. It's not obviously the largest of them. It's split into two groups of four now, with a championship side and a relegation side. And interestingly, it's a Cardiff promotion and a Cardiff relegation. But this is the bit that I think really kind of puts us where Welsh football is at the moment. That relegation will only happen if after the playoff between the North and the South, if their grounds are at the correct grading for them to be able to be moved up. Otherwise, the leagues just stay as they are. So, yeah, Cardiff City winning it, which I'm sure has given you much joy, Sean. Give us a little bit about what's been going on around the Welsh League. I know it's been on the telly. People have the opportunity to watch that on the BBC should they wish to. So it is growing. But, yeah, straight over to you. You tell us more. Why should people be caring about the Welsh leagues?
Right, a lot of avenues so I can go down. So, but yeah, we'll start off with the champions, Cardiff City. Third title in a row for them. But I think what's been really interesting about Cardiff this season is that in the summer they lost so many highly experienced, highly talented players. We had a couple retiring, two went to West Brom, one was having a baby, one got an ankle injury that ruled her out for the season. Like their stars, a lot of their stars had gone. And so there was this big rebuild in the summer with a lot of youngsters coming through the under-19s. And yeah, you didn't really know what to expect from them because the manager has a certain way of playing. Their formation is quite unique in this league, but I really wasn't sure what was going to happen. And we started off a bit slowly. Had a couple of dodgy draws, a loss here and there. Losing to Swansea, fourth game of the season, was a weird one because they really didn't turn up at all. But they've just found their way. Players have improved, and it's probably the most impressive title win of the three by an absolute country mile. I think the league has gotten a lot more competitive this season. It's been a brilliant league to watch. But I think it says a lot about what Cardiff are doing, the investment that's gone in, the staff they have, the coaches, whatever. Like the fact they've gotten to that position and to win the league by 10 points, I think is an absolute, you just have to credit them. I think it's a remarkable achievement. And yeah, the last game was yesterday against Britain Ferry at Cardiff City Stadium. Had a really good crowd and scored a 90th minute winner. Like Chelsea, in a way, they have a mentality. They can just find the way to get through when they need to. And yeah, all credit to them. I think it's been a brilliant title win, but they were pushed. They were pushed by some very unexpected teams this year, which has been brilliant to watch.
No, I mean, it absolutely has been. I mean, we'll come back to you, but Freya, just to make sure you get the opportunities to jump in and talk to, because I'm sure you are very much like me. Before today, Welsh football wasn't really massively on your radar. And I'm personally spending a lot of time trying to really using my holidays to get my head around a lot of different leagues and a lot of different ways in which they work. And I don't know really. The Welsh game for you, it's not necessarily, there's only so many hours in a day where you can sit and watch football and consume it for. But I look at the SWPL, it's on the BBC quite regularly, weekly, and it's advertised, and you probably know the sides that have done quite well in that. Obviously, you've got the WSL. Why do you think it is that the Welsh League isn't given as much of a platform? Because, like, again, you go onto the BBC, you can get all of the matches, all of the results, all of the scorers, but you can't get that for the Welsh Women's League. Why would that be the case?
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because I know we both kind of do a lot and try and share different leagues, don't we? And try and get more attention because, we're quite lucky in the sense that for the WSL, it is so widely covered. And but there are so many leagues out there with so much talent. And, that's why it's fantastic listening to Sean talk about it, because it's not something that is ever on anyone's radar because it's not promoted. It's not... like you said, on the BBC page, like there won't be an article about it. So you've got to then follow the right people, but it's knowing who to follow and where to find the information. And if you're just, I don't want to say a fair weather fan, but like a casual fan, you maybe don't know the right channels to go down. Because Sean, where do the matches get broadcast usually?
So it's not every week, maybe once every 2 weeks. So the national broadcaster here, S4C, on their channel Scoria, they will have games on their channel, but they'll always stream it on YouTube as well. So it is available to watch on YouTube for free around the world, these games sometimes. And every week there'll be a highlight show as well on Scoria, which covers the men's, but they do have a section for the women's league as well. So a couple of avenues you can go down, but unless you watch S4C, which is a Welsh language channel, you may not know about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because I know S4C is on, some television packages, obviously in England, but it's, like you said, if you're not going to watch it, you're not going to go, oh, I'll check that channel this afternoon, see if there's any football. And so yeah, I think it maybe, I don't know, could BBC Sport maybe do more? Because the Welsh League is right there, it's right next door. So yeah, I think it's just about communication, isn't it? And just helping support other leagues. Because if they're doing it for the Scottish Women's Premier League, why aren't they doing it for the Welsh? So yeah, I think, unfortunately, with BBC Sport, it is very hit and miss who they cover. Because I noticed when I was looking for something the other day, they didn't have the Women's National League, North and South. They didn't have any of that on when the men's are on. As soon as the men's are off, suddenly the women's come back on. So it's, it's not fair. It's not a fair representation. So they definitely do more broadcasters.
I think you're right. I think they definitely could. And I mean, on this channel and on this whole platform, the whole purpose of all women's football is to grow it. And I know that not everybody's going to be sitting there. I mean, we've maybe dropped 4 or 5 viewers that are like, oh, no, I'm not interested in talking about the Welsh League. I've been on, I've listened to the FA Cup. That's what I came on from. That's fine. People consume their football in different ways and they go for what's interesting in them. But I love the stories that football brings. And that's what we try and do. It's why we do a weekly lower league lingo show, because we want to show that actually it's not just the WSL. It's not just the Championship. There are other leagues below, as you've just mentioned there, Freya, that actually have equally as good stories and equally as good drama. And I wanted to throw that out there because actually, Sean, I'm going to butcher this, and I can only apologise for it, but I will give it a go, and then you can absolutely correct me. but the Briton Ferry Lansewell.
Yeah, that's quite good. Britain Ferry Shansawel.
That's close. That's
Very good.
They did really well. They were promoted last season, weren't they, from the Adran South, and they finished second in the end, which to me is quite something. I mean, you've got Wemtown, who I you forgive me, I've never heard of, but Wrexham, obviously, I have, and they're around, and they finished fourth. Other teams that you could have had: Swansea, Barry Town, up the Barry, Aberystwyth are also there, and of course Cardiff Met, who are the ones who are in danger of going down. But I mean that says a lot as well about the growth of women's football in Wales, not just at the highest level, that we can get a side to come in from the south and finish second and push Cardiff. I mean, granted, it was a 10-point gap, as you said, in the end, but still, it's a pretty good performance for a newly promoted side.
Definitely. And we saw Wrexham came up last year and finished third, and we all thought, that's a really good season for a newly promoted side. Good luck to anyone wanting to challenge that. But this Britain Ferry team is unlike any other team in this league. That I know we all hear about one club mentality and togetherness, but I've not seen a team as unified as this for such a long time. It is astonishing what Reece James, the manager, has done, who announced yesterday before the game against Cardiff City he's going to leave the club. We've got a couple of retirements as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do next year, because obviously every club wants to improve, but improvement for them would be winning the league, which is mad to think about when you narrowed it down. But no, really good performance from Britain Ferry. The core group there is unbelievable. You've got Captain Lou Riding's an absolute warrior. You've got Laura May Walkley in midfield. This is someone who's played for Manchester City. I think she played for Reading. She's a Welsh international, and now she's playing for Britain Ferry. A wonderful story. But it goes back to what I was saying. It's just getting competitive each year, and seeing Swansea not in that top four is an absolute shocker. This is 6-time champion of Wales, the highest amount, and a really, really bad run. And then Wrexham sneaking in, TNS finishing the highest ever, and I'm sure we'll come to Cardiff Met in a bit, but that relegation of Cardiff Met is confirmed, so there is no unknown. They will be going down next season.
And I was just going to say, Swansea are on 37 points, so they finished a point more than Britain Ferry did, but obviously doesn't count because they're only top of their little mini league, and they only played sides, as in Barry and such like. They weren't doing too well. And the reason why I'd said I wasn't sure is because obviously there is a playoff, as we said, that has to happen between the north and the south. And it's last year's relegated side, Pontypridd, against Connors Quay Nomads. And obviously, if Pontypridd were to win at the weekend, we know that they can go up because they've been there. What I was unsure about was whether or not Connors Quay Nomads had been in the top leagues before. And I'm assuming from your answer that is definitely the case. So therefore, it is goodbye to Cardiff Met, as you said.
Yeah, so no, Connors Quay have never played in the top league before, so this would be completely new territory for them if they get promoted. But their men's team have got some really good facilities, and the women get to use those as well. So their licensing, their criteria, all checked off. No need to worry about that for them. And it's a really interesting playoff. I think Connors Quay, they played 14 games in the northern section and won all 14, which is really impressive. And their top scorer is a player called Poppy Wild McGregor. She plays in midfield. She's played 10 games out of those 14. She's scored 21 goals from midfield. Incredible. And they've got a lot of really solid players, a lot who know where the back of the net is. But Pontypridd got relegated last season, lost a lot of players, and this is a really young team, but they've done really well in a really tough Southern division. I think, the league went down to the final day. There were 3 teams all on 24 points going into the final day, only 4 goals between them, and Ponty did manage to do it in the end. So it'll be a really interesting game on Sunday. It should be streamed somewhere. I'm not too sure if Sky are doing it, but it should be streamed somewhere, and that's our Easter Sunday 12:30 kickoff. But they're going to replace Cardiff Met, who it's a shocker. It's a shocker how a team as big as Cardiff Met have been relegated. They're also 6-time champions, the same as Swansea. They were the last team to win in the last Welsh team to win in the Champions League, which is 2019. They did the treble not so long ago, and it's all just fallen off a cliff. It's an equivalent of if Arsenal or Chelsea were relegated. It is that seismic of a shock. And yeah, there were rumours that they were going to disband and just focus on the Bucks football, which is the university leagues that Cardiff Met compete in as well. But that's not the case. They will be back next season. But how that team is going to look, who's going to take charge, will they have the backing? It is so many questions. And it's a real shame that a team as big as Cardiff Met are not going to be competing in the Adrian Premier next season.
I mean, it's one game they won over the entirety of the season, and were 9 points behind Aberystwyth, which just, I think, as you say, goes to show it. And that win they got was in their last 5 matches. It was literally the one just before the end. Penultimate one, I believe, is the word we use for that. So there we go. Freya, listening to what Sean's saying, I suppose it's quite an interesting thing, isn't it? I mean, there's 8 teams in the Premier League, 8 in the North, 7 in the South. Do you think they've got it the right way? Is there, I mean, obviously, I'm presuming they've got a North and a South because obviously the level that the football is at the moment and where the money is, it would be a bit harsh to be asking them to travel from North Wales to South Wales for the kind of games that they've been playing. But is that a part of it with such a small pool of teams? Is that potentially part of where Wales need to look at now, maybe in terms of trying to get more of an explosion within the game so there are more football teams that can help to expand their league and maybe make it more accessible, perhaps? I don't know if that's the right word that I'm using there.
Maybe, yeah. It's the kind of expansion, though, isn't it, that you just hope all of the clubs would need to then put their backing in. So then you're not expecting some teams to be in a deficit and other teams to be, to keep financially afloat with it. We know how hard things are. So yeah, I think that's definitely the step forward to be able to have more competitive battles. And, if teams never meet each other just geographically, there could be some really good tests there that we just haven't seen yet. So yeah, I definitely think that's in the right direction, and hopefully those conversations will be had. But yeah, they need the support in the back end, don't they? And hopefully if they get that, then it can grow. And we can see some of the brilliant matchups that we have, in the Championship in England moving through, where you have, unfortunately when Sunderland go down Portsmouth, you've got those massive journeys. But yeah, I mean, it brings for some really, really good matchups. So yeah, hopefully watch this space. Sean will keep us updated.
He absolutely will, and we certainly will on all 4 women's football as well. We're getting the graphics set up, as we can see. And speaking of graphics, therefore, I have one question that's split into 3 parts for you, Sean. That first question is, therefore, who do you think we should expect to see replace Cardiff Met? Who, like you say, I read through that, and when I saw that, along with Swansea, they've won most of the titles, it did blow my mind to see them go. But go they have. So who do you think is going to win? Will it be Pontypridd or will it be Connors Keno, man? So that's the part 1 of the question. Part 2 is, with Cardiff City doing as well as they are doing, how well do you think they'll do in the Champions League? I'll just answer those 2 for now.
I think it'll be a really close game between Connors Key and Pontypridd, but I'm going to give the edge to Connors Key. I've been really impressed with how well they've attacked. They played Cardiff City in the Cup as well in the earlier rounds and really gave them a close game. And I think that will help them over there. And the fact they won 14 games out of 14 in the league, that gives you a big confidence boost. So I'm going to give the edge to them. In terms of Cardiff City in the Champions League, it's an odd one because the way the Champions League is this next season, with a coefficient, fans of English clubs, you may not know what the UEFA coefficient is, but I study this because I need to know how well we're doing. And currently Wales are ranked 4th from bottom in the coefficient, which means we're not doing well. So it's difficult. You're going to have to rely on a kind draw. And last season, Cardiff City were drawn against FC20 in the first round. Not a kind draw. Lost 7-0, I think it may have been. But yeah, I think with the right players in, they can hopefully, if they can get one win, it's huge for us. So hopefully one victory in the Champions League would be brilliant.
Okay, very true. Yeah, pretty sure Arsenal United fans have been studying it as well. But my last question came on in terms of the players. We did tweet out a graphic, and it was Fionn, I want to say Price. I was right, Fionn Price, who has won it, obviously, from Cardiff City. 12 goals for her. We had two other players. We had Ava Suckley with 11. And then Chantel Tier with 10. They were your top three. That's kind of a goal every other game, or better, for two of them there. Is that the sort of a player that we should be looking out for? Are there any other players that potentially could get a little shout out from you as to being the sort of people we should be looking out for next season?
I think in a league as small as Wales, and I think a lot of small leagues would be like this, it's what's your USP? What's the thing that's going to make you stand out? And it's the players. We have storyline. We have so many good young players coming through. And Fionn Price is not an older player. I will not be accused of that. But she's got 12 goals. She's a left back. This is a left back who has won the Golden Boot in the Adran Premier. It's astonishing. It is astonishing. I've never seen a player like her before. She's a two-time player of the season already. She's got a Welsh cap. She's been so consistent for so long now. And yeah, she's won everything. And yet she's won a Golden Boot off the back of it. But we go back to this USP and players who are around and around the scene. We've got a couple of international players playing in this league. We've got Caitlin Chapman, who plays for Gibraltar. She's been playing in the Nations League. We've got Anna Phelps, a goalkeeper at Cardiff City, who's been called up by Thailand. And we've got Molly Keogh, who plays for Cardiff City, who's been an regular international for the Cayman Islands. And these are tiny nations, but the fact we've got international players in this country, we've got former Wales international as well. Maria Francis-Jones is the big one, came over from Manchester City to go to the New Saints, TNS, and had an absolutely stellar season. And just all around, you'll find these players. And there's a lot of young players as well who come over. And what they give in the Adran Premier gives you a platform. And then you can then move on and join bigger clubs. For example, Olivia Francis was at Pontypridd. Now she plays for Manchester United. You have Ellen Valentine was at Aberystwyth, plays for Newcastle United. You have Vera Jones, who was at Barry, now playing for Chelsea. There's young players. Give them a platform. Clubs are looking at the Adran Premier, and that's the most important thing. So look out, because there's a lot of talent in this league, and they might be playing for bigger clubs in the future.
Absolutely. That I bet you can't guess which Welsh side I'm going to choose to be my team to cheer on for. I bet you can't.
I love that club. I love Barry Town so much, honestly. Love them.
I think you've got to be able to support a team that's actually got the same name as you. So, yeah, which is good, really, because it would have been called Wem. Imagine if that was the case. There we go. But I'm Barry.
Where did you find Wem, by the way? Because they're not called Wem at all. They're TNS. They are the New Saints.
Well, if it's Google that's lying to me here, then.
There you go.
Naughty Google, which makes sense. You talked about the New Saints, and I knew that I'd seen them on there, so that makes a lot more sense. But there you go. That's why you should always go to the official website when you're trying to do that. But I panicked. So there we go. Still, I got the Britain bit right, which is really good. Sponsored by Barry Tea. I'll tell you what, tea bags, they're quite nice, actually. It's surprisingly so. So there we go. Right, we're going to switch gears slightly. We've had a lot from Sean. And some of you might have been thinking, how rude are you, like not really talking to Freya. But now we're going to switch it around so that Freya can talk about her area of interest. And of course, Freya's area of interest is wide and vast. I'm not at all trying to pigeonhole the young lady, but Serie A is a hobby, a pastime, a passion for Freya, and she indeed spent the weekend tweeting about it in slightly more depth even than I was. But interesting now that they're into their post-season, Freya. They're 10 sides. They've been split into 2, just like the Welsh League does as well. And there's still stories, and I find it very interesting because you look at it and actually at first glance, when you take a look at that league, it doesn't seem like the most exciting thing you're ever going to see. There's lots of differences in terms of points, but as it stands, Juventus, having played a game more than Inter, 10 points clear, doing pretty well. There's only 26 games that are played, so Juventus have got 3 to play. Inter obviously have got 4. So we're in a situation where they can only get to 54 points. So Juventus could end up winning the league this weekend when they play Milan, who have not been doing quite too well themselves, although there is a 3rd Champions League spot that's available, which is what Fiorentina and Milan are really fighting for. And then when you start looking at the bottom, you've got obviously Napoli and Sampdoria, and Sampdoria is a massive name in Italian football as well. So I suppose I'll kick off with, if Sampdoria or even Napoli go down, does that quite hit Cardiff Met levels? Is that an absolute shocker? Should we really have been looking at a side like Sassuolo to be the ones that go down? Because they're the ones that maybe people haven't heard of quite so much. Just give us your sort of rundown, really, on how Serie A has gone this season and where you sort of see it going over the course of the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I've only really got into it the last couple of seasons, but I really love it. And I think the way that we talk about all of these different stories and all these players, and there's such a variety in Serie A, and that's kind of what I love about it. But this weekend in particular, I'm just kind of going through. I mean, Sampdoria, as you mentioned, and Napoli are right at the bottom, Sampdoria being on the bottom with 10 points, Napoli on 11. And Sampdoria held Lazio to a 0-0 draw at half time, and you thought, can they do it? Can they get a point? Because that would have been massive. Lazio, of course, got promoted last season, and they've had a corker, so they're currently sitting top of the Puglia Savezza, the relegation round, joint with Como. So yeah, the two of those are pretty much fighting. I think we talked about it last time for like an ego or pride thing to get top of the group. But yeah, both Sampdoria and Napoli failed to take their chance of getting points. And as I think it's just popped up in the chat there from Shane, yeah, massive win for Sassuolo at the weekend. But that wasn't until it was the 76th minute. That was Elena Dont with a beautifully placed header to get the opener. But I genuinely thought Napoli were going to win that one. They had the best chances all the way through. Sassuolo had very limited chances on goal. So the fact that they made the most of it just shows you that it's moments that are making it up. But yeah, I think out of everyone, it is those two at the bottom that haven't performed this season. So I'd say it was a fair reflection. But when you look at the top end of the table, however, Juve, I mean, they beat Roma at the weekend. So first versus third. So there's no question really that Juve really ran away with it this season. But yeah, I think Fiorentina have really surprised a lot of people with how well they've done, and the fact that even out of a group of 5, they're still not bottom, and they probably won't get into that third spot. They're 6 points behind Roma at the minute. So they might if things go horribly wrong. But yeah, it's looking likely to be Juventus into Roma in those Champions League places, but it's definitely not over. There was a massive 5-3 win at Milan Fiorentina at the weekend. So the goals are there, the surprises are definitely there, because I don't think anyone looking at that matchup would have thought that's going to be, an 8-goal thriller, 7-goal thriller. So yeah, there's so many surprises, and you just can't bet on what's going to happen from week to week. So yeah, it's looking very close at the top, but even closer at the bottom in Serie A.
I mean, it's like you say, it's very, very interesting to watch. Now, Juventus are currently tied, I believe, on 5 titles. They are level with the mighty Lazio and Verona. There's also a little team called Torres, who have won it more times than anybody else. That's why I love women's football, because you just find names of teams. You're like, what the hell is that? Whoever knew that Fernando Torres had his own women's team? But there we go, he does. And that's not true. But they won it 7 times, the last time being 2013. So Juventus, Sean, are looking pretty good. They are many points. Was it? It was 9, 10 points clear. So the win is looking pretty good for them at the moment. I mean, can you see any side other than Juventus getting that?
No, and what I find quite surprising about Juve is in the January window, when they let Caruso go on loan to Bayern, I thought, that's odd. I thought, that's not going to derail them, is it? But no, fair play, they've gone from strength to strength. And I did want to ask Freya 2 questions about the teams in that championship group, because obviously Roma have done so well the last 2 seasons. What's kind of been the reason for their drop off this season? Then also AC Milan, I was really quite surprised with how low down they were, because I was really impressed with how they did in the summer window, recruiting really well. Player like Emma Visto from Liverpool going over, I thought, wow, okay, that's a statement signing. So, how disappointing have both Roma and AC Milan been this season?
It's a good question. They both just haven't seemed to have been themselves. Like, you're right, when you think of Roma, when you think of Milan, you think of, all these powerhouses at the top of the table. And I suppose they've all still finished in that top 5. So technically, they are still in and amongst it. But yeah, I just think there's been a lot of opportunities where they haven't really took their chances. Even just looking at top goal scorers this season, you've got Girelli, who's Juventus, Martina Piemonte from Lazio, and then Sofia Cantore, who's Juventus as well. So usually you'd have Giacinti up there, you'd have, all of these other names. But yeah, they just seem to have not pushed forward as much as you would expect. So it's not as if they've performed badly by any means, but they just maybe aren't where you'd expect them to be. But yeah, I can't really put my finger on it, but it's just something that hasn't really gelled this season. But yeah, Milan haven't really had a good one, but they've got people like Evelyn IJ, the youngster striker up front, sorry. And you just think there's a lot of youth coming through as well. So maybe in those transitional periods, but yeah, I think out of everyone, Juve have definitely, like you said, up their game this season. So yeah, I think maybe it's just that Juve have got that something extra.
It's interesting though, isn't it? 'Cause the opposite of last season. Last season, Juventus were the ones that missed out, and as Sean says, they're to Roma, who you would expect to be the sort of the bigger side. But there's been a massive change, because it's Roma that are now almost 10, well, just over 10 points behind Juventus. So there is a massive change there, and it's just dropped points, isn't it? Where Juventus have gone on to win a few, the likes of Roma and the rest have drawn it or lost it, which is obviously where championships are lost and won. I suppose we've got to be fair to Juventus, though. They've obviously done incredibly well this season. Do you think they are the rightful winners? Do you think that there can't be any controversy about it, surely, to be that many points ahead?
Yeah, no, I'd say so. I think exactly what you said. They've managed to grind out a win, even if it hasn't been the prettiest. And yeah, they've just been able to get those points steadily and consistently. Where you're right, others have either thrown away points or lost them completely. So yeah, I just think they've been more steadily consistent than the others around them.
For sure. I'm going to not ask you who you think is going to win the league. I'm going to ask you both at this point who you think is going to lose the league, because to me, that is the biggest race. There are people looking, and we can also ask that one about the Champions League. In fact, I will throw that one to you first, Freya. Do you see both Inter and Roma holding on for the remaining 2 Champions League qualification spots? or can you see Fiorentina and Milan putting themselves back into contention?
I think they will. I think they'll keep it, Inter and Roma. I think Fiorentina, out of the two of them, between them and Milan, I think they might try and push. But yeah, I don't think that top three are going to change for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it seems fair to me. I mean, Juventus obviously play Milan this weekend, as we mentioned, for the title. Effectively, Inter will be playing Roma as well. Sean, looking at that, would you agree with Freya? Do you think that that's going to be the case? Because again, if Inter and Roma, one of them wins that match, then the following week when Fiorentina or Milan get involved, and imagine if Milan do get the win over Juventus, all of a sudden that's only a 4-point gap between themselves and Roma.
Yeah, I'd love to see someone like Fiorentina go back into the Champions League, but I just can't see it personally. But although I'm quite looking forward to seeing Inter in the Champions League, I feel it's been a while since we've seen the women's team in there. So no, I think it'll be top will stay the same. But also just a quick one for me. Italy and Wales are in the same Nations League group, so I've been paying a closer attention to some in the Italian national team, and seeing Girelli just top of the scoring charts at whatever age she's at, it's unbelievable. What a player she is. And same with Bara Bonacea. Because she scored the winner against, I'm like, they just keep going. They just find ways to do it. And so, yeah, just seeing those sort of old guards still there, still performing it, yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Not left backs though, are they, Sean? Not that impressive. I'm going to ask you both the same question. Napoli or Sampdoria? I mean, it's going to be tight, surely. Sean, what do you reckon? Napoli, Sampdoria? Who's it going to be? Who's dropping down?
It's difficult, isn't it? But yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to say Sampdoria. They're there already, and once you're in that position, it's far harder to get out of it. So I'll go Sampdoria.
I mean, it feels fair. Freya, I suppose the same question to you. Napoli do have to play Sampdoria. That game comes on the 26th of April. So obviously the weekend after this one. Napoli will play Lazio prior to that as well. But it feels like that game, Napoli-Sampdoria, is the kicker, really, with so few games left. Do you almost see the winner of that game being the team that stay up, or is it slightly more nuanced than that for you?
It's hard because when you look at, like you said, the fixtures coming up, Lazio, Napoli, we've got, like you said, Napoli, Sampdoria's. I mean, it is going to be the decider. They've still got to play Sampdoria versus Como as well. That's going to be rough. Napoli have got to play them as well. And then on that weekend, Sampdoria, Sassuolo as well. So I think every match, if they're not picking up at least a point, which it's proven really hard for them, but I think out of the two, I think Napoli have just shown a little bit more fight, especially the last couple of matches. So I'd be surprised if Sampdoria don't go down. But yeah, I think unfortunately, even that point difference, yeah, I think it's going to be hard for them to get back.
Wow. Well, there you go. So that's kind of where we are with Serie A. And I mean, there's so many other leagues that we could have looked at. They're all getting very close to finding their conclusion and all the way across. I mean, apart from the NWSL, which obviously started 4 games ago, they're all very, very close to reaching their conclusion. We will be here to cover all of them. But I'm just going to throw out one last question because we did say and more. And the and more for this one is very simple because tomorrow we have the first of a 10-day period, 10-day window, which will see our 6 WSL games played. And obviously tomorrow we've got Arsenal against Leicester. Now, we've been talking a little bit about City potentially getting into the top three. Yes, Sean, they might well be bigger than Manchester United and therefore could indeed try and usurp them. But Arsenal still are not completely free and clear and will need to be 100% through. Simple question to you both. I think we all see Arsenal winning that game. It shouldn't be one that they lose. But with it being at this particular point, having had a bit of a gap, obviously, with not taking part in the FA Cup, do you see them being able to get in on a Tuesday, a cold Tuesday night in Boreham Wood? Do you see it being okay, Sean?
It's a tricky one. It's far trickier than I think on paper, because it's been a rough international break for Arsenal with the injuries they've had to Chloe Kelly, Alessia Russo, Daphne Van Domselaar. I think Kafaji got something. I think McCabe looks okay. But so you've got those injuries to deal with, and then Leon on Saturday. So it's a tricky balancing act for LA Stingers. I still think Arsenal will win, but I don't think Leicester will make it easy for them. I'm being really impressed with how Leicester have done the last couple of games. So I'll go with an Arsenal win, but I don't think it'll be as convincing as a lot of people think it might be.
Freya, same thoughts for you?
Yeah, 100%. I think Leicester have really built some momentum, especially coming into this part of the season. So, especially like Sean said, with Arsenal's injuries, I think if any time is a good time to face Arsenal, it's probably now. So yeah, if they can nick a point, that'll be good. Make it interesting.
Absolutely. Fair enough. We'll end with this. Michael Birch asked, he was going to ask Connor, but he didn't. So he's going to ask you instead, Freya. Are you going to go to, this is very much because you are an Aston Villa writer and fan, are you going to Black Sabbath's farewell show at Villa Park? So are you going to go into the void and become a damaged soul for the end of the beginning? Or are you going to be a pariah and give it a miss?
I wish. Ticket prices, unfortunately, are not for the faint-hearted. So no, I shall let the hardcore fans go and enjoy that one, and I shall look forward to the videos from it. But I mean, what a farewell show to play Black Sabbath at Villa Park. It's got to be iconic, hasn't it? So yeah, not for me.
That answers that question. Well, that has been another week of All Women's Football. I really enjoyed the conversation that we had tonight. Absolutely brilliant. Where did we come out of it? Well, we know that Chelsea are going to face Manchester United in the FA Cup final. That is the third biggest side in the WSL, Manchester United, or is it? That's the debate that we then moved on to. We've looked all the way through the Welsh Premier League, and we're very much looking forward to finding out who it is who's going to be joining them next season. Will it be Pontypridd? Will it be Connor's Key Nomads? We'll find out. And we will, I'm sure, let you know what the results of that are. And will it be Juventus? Are we going to see Sampdoria drop down? Will it be Napoli? Who knows? We're reaching the end of the season, guys. And my God, is it fever pitch or what? Trying to see what's going on with all of these stories as they come to a head. Thank you very much, you guys, for your time as ever. Sean, where can people find you should they wish to hear more of your inane ramblings?
Yeah, at Sion Misra on both Twitter and TikTok. And they are very much ramblings, very random stuff, but come join in if you like.
And Freya, where can people find your work?
Yeah, you can find me at T4T Writes or at the Whole 115 Yards. And I've got something very new and special dropping very soon. So please do go check me out over there. And I can tell you more soon.
There you go. So there we go. Do as you're told. Go and check those things. Keep on with the Awful Women's Football Twitter. We are throwing as much out there as we possibly can. I'm looking forward to seeing the end of the season through with you guys. And then it's on to the internationals. We can't wait. See you soon.